Out of Order Gun Rights Podcast, episode 68.
Welcome to the Out of Order Podcast, your window into the firearms community, exploring those shaping the future of our rights and protecting our lifestyle, laws, legal cases, activism, and self-defense in a candid and honest podcast for our brothers and sisters in arms. Here's your host, James Kalita.
Thank you for tuning in to episode 68 of the Out of Order Gun Rights Podcast. Today's sponsor is sellmorefirearms.com. Sellmorefirearms.com has a free guide with 10 tips you can use to sell more firearms using Facebook and social media. So head over to sellmorefirearms.com, enter your email, and get your free guide. Today's guest is Amanda Suffecool. Amanda is a Pro 2A leader, trainer, educator. We've spoken once before, and this episode we talk about her experience with the DC project, the Heller decision anniversary, and now here's Amanda.
Amanda Suffecool, welcome to the show.
Oh, well, thanks for having me.
My pleasure. So last time we talked, you were getting ready to go down for the DC for the DC project. How was that event?
Oh, as always, this is the third year that we have gone as a large cohesive group, and it is phenomenal. The opportunities to talk to your representatives and to be heard, and then we set up appointments. We walked in and talked to people. Then in some cases we had an appointment with a staffer, and then we got to talk to our representative. In some cases we had some spare time, so we did a cold call. And one of those cold calls actually got us a sit down with our congressman. I mean, that's how crazy it is there in D.C., but it was fabulous. And then the whole thing culminated with a rally on the Capitol lawn on Friday afternoon, and it poured down rain. And yet, at the same time, there was this great audience, all standing in their raincoats and their rain suits and their umbrellas because they wanted to not miss it. It was fabulous. Dick Heller was there wearing a trash bag. It was the best visual.
Yeah, and I didn't see any pictures of him. All the pictures I saw of him, he was dressed very well. So.
He was dressed very well underneath his see-through blue trash bag. So if you look, the Cam from Cam and Company, the second Cam, was there interviewing for NRA TV, and he was there interviewing, and he has pictures of Dick Heller under the Cam and Company auspices. You should be able to find it if you look for the DC Project rally.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay. And so how do you feel about the conversations you had? Do you feel like you made headway with anyone down there, or? I
think, you always do, because what happens is if they're pro-gun, you want to say to them, rah, 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 keep up the good work. We're here, we're behind you, go forth and do this. If they're anti-gun, we want to say, look, we're people. We're professional, we're well-spoken, and we're never going to turn the anti-gun. We really are not going to turn them to be pro. But if we can turn them just enough that they don't push an agenda, that they don't push the button, that they sort of stay a little more neutral, that they're not so vehement, then we've won. And that, I think, is happening.
Excellent. And I think during that same trip, you got to be there for the Heller decision rally. How was that?
That's a bucket list item. Because Dick Heller is a hero. He is one. He is. When you have this list of people, who do you want to sit down and talk to? Who do you want to meet? In the Second Amendment world, Dick Heller is one of those people. And so to be in Washington, D.C., on the steps of the Supreme Court, on the 10th anniversary of the Heller decision, it was a bucket list moment. And they had a list of speakers, and so they included me as one of the speakers, and I was so humbled by that. Just the ability for for me to be included with that group of people is just, you want to call your mom is what happens, look at me. It's so amazing. And the other speakers were so good, and there were protesters, and so there was energy and there was noise and they were yelling, and the speakers had the PA system, and so it was a life experience that you don't often get to repeat.
And of course, you're a host of the On Target Radio, and
right.
Would you like to tell everyone about that show? And I think you guys are going to be syndicating come September. How's everything going there?
Once again, I'm so lucky. We're just really, really in a good place, and pro-Second Amendment things are happening across the country, and we're lucky enough to be in a spot where our 8 years of history with Eye on the Target Radio have presented ourselves with Salem Radio Network to do a syndicated show. And so right now we're finalizing the details. We're locking down exactly when, exactly where, that kind of thing. I've already got 4 stations signed up to be the initial burst of stations, and then from there, because a lot of people, most stations want to hear it in its final form, not just the hand waving. But I've got 4 stations who have listened to us in the form that we are currently, and they're like, they're in, and so it's really cool. So if people want to check out our archives, it's called eyeonthetargetradio.com. That's the website. And we do a live show on Sundays currently. We do a live show on Monday currently, and then we have the archives all available on the website. And then as we switch to national syndication, then some of that's going to change up a little bit. The website will change. But the gist of the show and the question and answer format and the ability for people to call and ask questions about concealed carry, about ballistics, about collecting, just a wide variety of gun-related topics where the audience is involved. That's really kind of the format that we have been doing and will continue to do.
Great. I wonder as you expand this, if the types of questions are going to change as you reach a wider and wider demographic. I am excited for like the East Coast anti-gun areas to have this on their dial, because I think I can't imagine it happening in New Jersey, and I'm at the same time excited for it. So
right, I think that there's going to be some of that, and so that there's some. The good news is that we've had 8 years of, Ohio is not necessarily, it's not Arizona with open carry and yeehaw kind of everybody's got a gun. It's not that. It's not Vermont where they've never taken away their ability. It's a little more blue collar, straight laced, but the blue collar has been the supporting structure underneath, and so that's really said that people are gun owners. So those people, their questions are, how do I conceal carry? What do I do here? Tell me about this gun. What's your opinion of that gun? And my biggest fear is, you'll get the hecklers and you'll get that kind of thing. And 8 years of radio has hopefully prepared us to be able to deal with those. But the questions that I'm scared of getting are the ones related to concealed carry across the country, because there's so many rules and so many laws and so much stuff that though I'm pretty good about how Ohio is and how Ohioans traveling across the country, I'm not going to be able to tell you the specifics of something that's happening, let's say, New Jersey or Rhode Island or Massachusetts. That's my big concern.
Yeah, and you almost need a lawyer from every state, like on a panel, to.
Got it.
And
and you push a button, and you got 49 people holding in abeyance, and you're like, okay, you're up, right?
Yeah.
It can't happen quite like that, but that would be great to have in my back pocket.
Right, yeah, and of course you'd probably get a different answer from each one.
Right.
Great. And so, I mean, we're fast coming up to the Gun Rights Policy Conference, and you were saying you have a concealed carry fashion show coming up for that?
Yeah, they've asked us to do, as you know, or maybe you know, I kind of have built this reputation of the gal who wrote the book on concealed carry fashion shows. It was because we started to do it in Ohio, and we did it as a fundraiser. And people across the country that I'm interacting with are like, wow, we'd love to do it here, but we don't know how. We'd love to do it here, we don't know how. So we sat down to write a 20-page pamphlet. And that 20-page pamphlet, when you really put all the details in, became a 150-page book. So from there, we have since put on concealed carry fashion shows in Dallas, in Milwaukee, in Cleveland, and Massachusetts. It helped with, so I've kind of done some long-distance consulting, if you will, from Massachusetts and a couple on the West Coast. But this time in September, we're going to do a concealed carry fashion show at the Gun Rights Policy Conference in Chicago. And so that's kind of our next fun thing.
Great. And so I'm always asking my guests if there are books that they recommend that every gun owner should read. Any more come to mind since the last time we talked?
Well, yeah. There's a guy that I've been talking to in a book that I've read, and I haven't read his second one, but it's called Good Gun, Bad Guy by Dan Waz. Have you read that?
I haven't, no.
Dan has this amazing ability to kind of connect the dots and lead his audience through what that is. He actually just recently did a YouTube video where Jan Morgan was on CNN talking about the 3D printed guns. And CNN had done this hack job on her, if I can use that term, where here's Jan, the pro-Second Amendment, well-spoken, beautiful gal who, she just can think on her feet. She is fabulous. And they put her as, the pro and con panel, and the anti-gun guy was a victim from Las Vegas. Come to find out, he's a lawyer, but he's a victim from Las Vegas. And so the conversation started out with, poor victim, Jan, you're bad. Poor victim, Jan, you're bad. And it kind of went that way the whole way. And she held her own, and she did a really good job on CNN with this interview. But Dan then took that interview, and he tore it apart, plays a piece of it, and then explains it, and plays a piece of it and explains it. And it's a 20-minute YouTube video that is very worthwhile watching. But that gives you an ability to see Dan in action. His books give you an ability to kind of get Dan in your head. So Good Gun, Bad Guy by Dan Waz, and it's WOS. All
right, great. And I wanted to ask you, too, about the Gun Rights Policy Conference. Is that an event for everyone, or is it just like bloggers, writers? Should people feel like it's something they should drive out for?
It's an interesting event. It is for the Second Amendment informed, or for those who want to be Second Amendment informed. So the AMCON, the AMM-CON, that is taking place on Friday is for the writers, bloggers, radio people, for the Second Amendment communicators. But that evening, Friday evening, and then all day Saturday and half a day Sunday, you get to hear speakers. And they speak for 6 minutes, 8 minutes, 10 minutes is tops. It's a fabulous speaker, and you get 10 minutes of him. And then they switch them, and they switch them, and they switch them, and they are so quick, and you're like drinking from the fire hose. But it's all the writers that you've read. It's all the people. So Dr. John Lott is there, the numbers guy, so the statistician for the Second Amendment, in effect. There's A.W.R. Hawkins, who I've read I use his articles on my radio show all the time. There is, just the people, and I hate to name them all because then you're going to miss so many. And it's a lineup of who's doing something in the Second Amendment and how cool is what they're doing. And they're willing to be there to talk about it on stage, and more so than to talk to you on the side about what they're doing, how they're doing it, and how they can help you and how you can help them. It's a great opportunity and experience.
And for folks that may have missed our last episode together, you are also the owner and a trainer at Targething. Would you like to tell everyone a little about that?
Well, Targething, years ago, my brother and I, who's my radio partner, we opened a gun shop and firearms training school. And so we've since closed the gun shop because we had a landlord and, business things happen. But the training portion of it is just something that I've found that I really enjoy and I really like. So we'll do concealed carry classes, but my primary love is like Women's Day on the Range, where you take brand new beginning women shooters and say, this is how your gun works. Here's the mechanical aspects of it. This is how the bullets work, and here's the mechanical aspect of it. This is the mechanism for semi-autos. This is the mechanism for bolt actions. This is the mechanism for revolvers. This is the mechanism for auto-loading shotguns. Here's how this works. And in 6 hours, we can take somebody who is practically gun ignorant. I mean, they really have not a lot of confidence and not a lot of skill. And we build it up to the point where at the end, they're like, sure, give me that. Let me try this. And the best thing that ever happened to me was that my husband and I went out socially with a couple that I had met the gal at one of the Women's Days. And then we get back to their house, the husband says, well, I've got a gun question for you. And so he goes and gets his gun, and he comes up and he asks this question. And his wife looks at me and she says, can I answer that? And she took the question and answered it fully and completely for him based on what she had learned at Women's Day.
Oh, wow, that is a great story.
Wow. That's such a win. It was just so fabulous. And he was just kind of slack-jawed looking at her like, how do you know that?
Right, yeah. Oh, man. Mm-hmm. It's one of those things you wish you had on video, right?
Oh, yeah, it was just fabulous.
Yeah. Great. And you're also the founder of Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition. Wow.
Correct. Can you tell I just stay a little busy?
Yeah. We're going to have a time management podcast where you come on and explain how you manage all of this.
Well, it's a time-space continuum. I've learned how to stretch it. No.
Oh, okay. All right. There
you go. But no, Realize is the umbrella that we do a lot of firearms education stuff. So Women's Day on the Range is under the umbrella. We do firearms appraisal fairs. We do the Preppers Ball. Some of the fashion shows are under that, and the radio show. So it's all under Realize. But the umbrella of Realize is really where you stand back and you're like, you're involved in so many things. How do they fit and do they fit together? And the fit together is, does it align with firearms education? And that's really the key. So Realize provides this firearms education umbrella. And we're a 501c3, so that gives us the ability to apply for grants, to subsidize training, to be able to help people, and to get the word out in a variety of ways so that we can continue to normalize the gun owner and normalize the Second Amendment so it doesn't become this dirty little secret that no one ever talks about.
And so where are the best places for people to find you online or just find you in general?
Well, the easy is Facebook. I'm Amanda Suffecool, so I'm there. You can go to the website Eye on the Target Radio. It's EYE, eyeonthetargetradio.com, and then, when you connect to something, that's generally to me, or to Realize, because Realize, the 501c3, is Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and to the website is realizefac.com. So any of those will lead back to me.
Great. Well, Amanda, I thank you so much for being on the show. Any any parting words for our listeners?
I shoot straight, be safe.
Thanks again for tuning in to episode 68 of the Out of Order Gun Rights Podcast. The show notes page for today's episode is outoforderjameskalita.com/68. If you head over to the show notes page, you'll find links to all of Amanda's websites, Realize Firearms, Eye on Target Radio, Target Thing, and also to the books that we discussed. And just want to remind you guys, Gun Rights Policy Conference is coming up, and so is the Alternative Mass Media Conference for Second Amendment folks. So if you head over to saf.org, you'll find information on both of those. Or if you head over to the show notes page, I'll have links to both of those events. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.